everybody wants you these days.
Oh.
That's gotta be like,
Hey there.
aren't you Mrs. Deadpool or something?
Oh my goodness. I have expressed my love for Deadpool, and
So what is that?
the fans love it. They just, they love it, and
Sometimes,
they really ran with it. And I was
sometimes
like, this is awesome.
people do the casting. Do you have a drink? Do you want a drink?
I have like my little cup waters here. This is nice.
You know, people sometimes like cast. They cast Tina Fey as Sarah Palin. You know, they just sort of like insisted. It was like, oh, that's who else is going to play Sarah Palin? Tina Fey.
Yeah.
She kind of looked like her, and
And
it just
Bond,
made for fun.
Oh, also, I brought you a little gifty because I was told you smoke. So I brought you some things to smoke,
that
by
got
the way.
out.
We can put it
That
down here,
rumor
though.
about me smoking.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that
you
rumor
in the
made its way
business?
all around the block. Yeah, I am. I own a cannabis brand.
And it's called what?
Forbidden Flowers.
Forbidden Flowers. Why forbidden? Because I feel like
Because
I'm not forbidding myself of any of it.
I, really hate the stigma around weed. I fell into weed because of serious
Oh, this is beautiful.
stomach issues and anxiety and crippling anxiety. And weed has really changed my life and helped me pretty good.
What is it with you kids and anxiety? What is causing all the anxiety?
I think everything, the world, the way
the
that
world.
the world
You don't
is
even-
now, it's, constant.
But
Just bad.
it's-
Everywhere
calm
you
down.
look, it's so bad.
You know what?
And it's
I
hard
find
to
this
find
to be
enjoyment in your natural day.
I find this to be a disingenuous argument because your generation doesn't know what's going on in the world. So how can you be that fucking concerned about what's going on in the world? I know what's going on in the world. I should have the anxiety. I follow it. You kids don't follow it. You don't know what the fuck's going on in the world. What are you upset about? What is the world problem?
There's definitely things that we know what's going on. Maybe we don't know necessarily always the full story, 100% of the full story. But I think we definitely, we're seeing it, we're hearing it, and we're vocal about it. And all these young kids growing up with this form of social media and media in general, it's like, wow, how long is it going to be before we're just used to it and it's not that bad anymore,
Can I tell you, I have been sent in my life quite a few boxes and setups with, this is such a beautiful, it is so elegant.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever
designed
seen
these jars.
one. Really?
I love it. As you can see the ombre
It's such a
between them.
piece of art, this box of dope.
It's so pretty,
It's
right? And then people love to
Look
collect
at this
them.
ashtray. If you're listening to this while you're walking your dog, you're missing such a great thing. This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's that cannot be cheap either. It looks like it's from Tiffany's or something.
Yeah, Glass House, who does Forbidden Flowers, is amazing. And why I wanted them was because they took so much care and actual effort into what the product is and how it feels, the real product. And I had met so many weed companies before, and when I found Glass House, I was like, wow, and you guys care.
This is why everyone wants a piece of you.
What is that?
That's a.
What do you have here? What do you have here? I want to see it. Yes. Yes. I love that you have
a cigarette case
Yeah.
that I use to house my clove cigarettes, which I don't know what they're putting in these cloves these days, but it is fantastic.
Who knows about the cloves?
But that's why, because you put so much care into that. You're obviously artistic. Well, I knew that. Every time I've seen you, I always thought, well, that's a cool chick. I wonder if she would come here and do a thing like that.
Oh, fuck
And then when you said yes, I thought, oh, well, my instinct was right. Because I always thought you were cool because you would never sort of back down when they came at you. I mean, I know you're
Thank you.
dealing with the anxiety and all that, and you know, this is probably where the anxiety is coming from. Hate.
Yeah.
There's so much hate.
In the world. Yeah.
Especially,
Yeah.
also the pettiness on social media. Your generation
It's
always
just
like
crazy.
fucking harpies on each other. It's like, I don't know how you deal with it. I would have anxiety too.
Yeah.
If I don't know what it would have been like if I grew up with like that kind of shit. And it's interesting when I confront people your age with this, they never like deny it and like defend them. They're never like, no, we're not like that. They're always like, yeah. I know it sucks. And it's like, I know, but it's your generation. If it sucks and you can control it, why don't you?
Because you can't control it. Because you can control yourself, but you can't control the world.
You can control not looking at it,
even
can't you?
in friend groups, like, you know, we've got a really hippie friend group. There's some people that even like to make jokes about each other, and, you know, they have a certain dynamic in their friend group that's very, you know, a little like knifey, but everyone's best friends. But they like to do these little digs that ends up making people like later on in life, you didn't even think it was anything. And then you're like, oh, actually, I'm insecure about that now. Who knew?
Right.
And in our group, like, you know,
shitty.
I've been in, you know, making friends for a while, and it's so interesting every time, you know, we meet a new friend, make a new friend. We're very specific in our group. As soon as we start to see those kind of more negative tendencies come out, our group, like, we're just too hippie. It's okay. I don't smoke it unless I roll it, but I can roll one. I have this thing.
I understand.
I have this thing.
Baby, you do not have to explain that for 2 seconds more. I totally get that. I'm not that is not one of my anxieties, but I totally respect that.
Hey,
And you are actually not even the first one to do that in that seat. Do you know Freddie Gibbs?
Love Freddie Gibbs.
He was here very recently, and
yeah.
he did the same thing.
Really?
And I totally respect that. First of all, I admire anyone who can roll. I've never, ever been able to roll. It was always a stumbling block in my development as an artist, I feel. I could have been much funnier and freer if I could have at least just learned to roll a fucking joint. But my joints,
It takes a while.
It just looks like I killed a cockroach. It's terrible. And some people can make it look, I swear to God, like a cigarette.
What? Oh yeah. Well, it's you'll see. It's like really about getting that. What's it called? That shape. You know, tightest at the end and fatter up towards here.
Talk
and
slower.
Sorry.
Talk slower.
And that's important
Very
because
erotic description of a.
Some people just roll like they don't know how to close the back end, and I don't even roll with a filter. I don't smoke a filter with a filter. Just smoke it straight.
And isn't it funny? People do lionize you like sexually more than like. There's always like a couple of chicks in any generation, and they're like, wow, like they're the go-to. Like when people want to like an example of somebody who like oozes sexuality, they say like you, like they would have a Pamela Anderson in a certain era. I mean, that's a lot to live up to.
Live up to?
Yeah, for you.
Oh, I think I guess technically it's like I'm already living it.
But
I think I've always been as well like kind of a sexual person, so I just feel like even when I'm not like trying to be sexual, people are still like, I don't know, she's so sexy. Like there's something like that's really sexy about her that's so sexual. And I'm like, I don't really see what it is necessarily, but people just, you know, they just run with it.
Well,
and it's like,
sometimes it's something that what gives it its power is that you can't define it exactly. You don't know, it's what they call an X factor, you know? And
it's like, what is that thing? Yeah, that extra thing.
Yeah, well, if you could quantify it, it would lose its power. That's what there's a mystery about it. You're right. I mean, like, why can line up 100 pretty girls, but like one stands out? Like, why did you get to be where you are? It's partly work, it's partly an intelligence usually that somehow reads, and it's something like an X factor. You know, people don't fucking know. They just. I saw you in this movie.
I think it also it depends. Like there's just every woman is so fucking smart, and then it's like there's this thing that's kind of been put on women, and you kind of have to, in some situations, like better to act not dumb but naive. And I see some girls that kind of use that, and I'm like, I don't know why you're like so fucking smart, and I actually know you as a person, and I think it's just from over time, and that's why people say I'm kind of like in your face a little bit, because, like you said, I kind of stick to my word, and I'm very like, no, like
Right.
like this, and I wasn't the kid that wasn't doing their homework. I was a kid that was asking for more homework in school on set to do.
And when did the anxiety start?
I don't know. I think that when as you get older, you start to kind of time things. You start to see rhythms in your life that happen. For a second, I was getting, not a second, quite a few years, I was getting this terrible, terrible chest cramp that I got. Thank you so much. Oh, wow, this is such an interesting, I'm like, how do I break this off? Oh. I have anxiety with you just holding something
I'm just
for
gonna
me.
say, honey, don't worry about it. There's nothing, no rush.
Thank you. But I used to get this terrible, terrible cramp. I remember one time I was walking.
Cramp?
This cramp, yeah, this just debilitating cramp that
Brought on by anxiety.
I didn't
Wow.
know for so much time growing up. Like I got a colonoscopy, upperoscopy when I turned 18. Because I did not know what the fuck was wrong with me. And one time as well, I remember it's just so clear as day, walking out of this movie theater, and I was like 15, 16, and I just like, I had cramps before, but this one was just so bad that I literally am walking outside and fall physically to my knees, like so fucking dramatic, and I just could not move. I just stayed on the floor, and I was like, what is happening to me, like in my life?
What was happening?
Literally, doctor's like, we found nothing. It's just anxiety. Like, here's,
what
you
was
could
the
take a bunch of
anxiety?
pills. It's just, they just say it's anxiety. Like, it's not even.
I know, but look.
It's not like, oh, here's all the things you have anxiety about. Of course, you're always going to have anxiety in your life about like pretty much a lot of things. But when it gets to such an extreme point where you might think I'm okay, like I'm acting normal, but my body is like, no, bitch, you is not cute right now. You is anxious as fuck, and here's a cramp to tell you.
But Bella, if we're going to make any progress in this psychiatrist-patient relationship, you're going to have to identify where the anxiety is coming from. We have to find the head of the snake.
Right.
There's an alien on the ship, and someone's going to have to go up there with a flamethrower and find it and fucking kill it. Because, when it first got on the ship, we thought it was just a little fucking harmless little unicellular creature. And then it grew like crazy fast, and now it's this big fucking cramp
monster,
in your stomach.
Yeah.
But we got to get there. So I'm going to take a guess. I think.
Do you get anxiety?
No. Well, of course, everyone gets anxiety to a degree, but I get way less than I used to. When I had anxiety, I was a child like you. I mean, not a child, but yes, child into adolescence. I had terrible anxiety. I went to school every day with a knot in my stomach because I was afraid I was going to be the kid who was ostracized. That was a big way we had before social media of being assholes. Kids are assholes. That's the banner headline. Underneath that, the technology changes how they're assholes, but they're born assholes. And there was one kid who was made fun of unmercifully, and sometimes, for reasons I still to this day don't know, sometimes it wasn't that kid and it was some other kid, and sometimes that kid was me. I was like second in line to be ostracized, so I was always worried I was going to be the kid who, like, they would call it giving you the cold shoulder. No one would talk to you, If you had to pick a song to sing for the Pledge of Allegiance or something, they wouldn't do yours. It was like just the same shit. Because kids get their jollies being mean to other kids.
I think also when you're growing up, you don't really know right from wrong. You have an idea of right from wrong, and every day you think, be right, be good today.
Parents have to teach children.
Yes, and I think in general, there's a certain curiosity to the younger part of your life. There's a very big curiosity that kind of lets you know the balance of right and wrong. And some people step over that line and then say, oh shit, that's the line. I didn't know that was wrong. I feel bad. Shit, I won't do that again. Some people step it again, and it takes them a while to understand why this is wrong. Well, and they might like know it's wrong, but they still have all these other forces pushing them, past that line. I was also bullied growing up, so like I totally get it, and I just feel bad for everyone involved. Everyone's got fucked up shit to deal with, and even the bullies who are terrible also have terrible conditions that they're dealing with that make them act this way and act out and shit, and you're just like, man, it's all one big clusterfuck.
Well, we have to make the connection here between why they act like assholes and why you feel bad. And the connection is making you feel bad is what makes them
feel good.
Feel superior.
Right.
Or whatever it is, it's your pain is that coming at the expense of their not pleasure, but somehow bigging themselves up.
Yes.
So right?
But people, like, you think, like, this is so bad, right? But people do this every day. Like, when you go through a breakup and then your person starts dating someone new and you're all, like, on their Instagram feed looking at it being like, oh, this person's like this. And, like, they totally seem, like, superficial or, like, blah, blah, blah. And you're just finding reasons to kind of fill your own self-doubt and insecurity, and people do that every fucking day and don't even realize that that is not a good habit. That's a bad habit to start, and that habit only gets worse in other situations. Let's say someone kind of throws a dig, so you're like, oh, I'll throw a dig back. Yeah, another tricky line that people cross every day and don't know what that line really is.
And what would you assess, honestly, your participation in this sorry fiasco? Of digs, and have you never done it yourself? Are you?
No, I've definitely been.
Okay. So you're not blameless in the scenario yourself.
No. And
but
in your head, even you do this as well. Like, let's say you'll tear someone down, and it's really because you don't have things that person has. Okay, and then you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm ugly. I'm this. I could work on this. I could work on that. But you don't ever sit in the mirror and say, I love this about myself. This is actually great. I fucking woke up today, and that's a clap on the back just right there. And you constantly have that kind of negative shit. And when I was younger, that used to be really bad. And I would see that stuff kind of come out of my mouth, like word vomit, almost like negativity. And luckily I had my sister, Danny, who is a hippie at heart and has the best, even when she's finding her morals, she's always on that good side. And so now, like I said, our group is like really weary of kind of making comments or saying something that might be negative or hurt someone's feelings. And, to do that as well, you gotta like start to, love yourself. And that's always a tough battle.
Club Random is supported by SignalWire. Ever been on a typical video conferencing call with a bunch of people? It's impossible to understand anybody, especially if they're all talking at once. You don't believe me? Remember what it was like the last time a bunch of you tried to do an intervention for a family member on a video call? Nobody was in sync. Uncle Al's still a mess. That's because the latency sucks. SignalWire has virtually zero audio and video latency, so you can see and hear others in real time. The guys behind SignalWire are the same developers that pioneered the tech that enabled cloud phone systems, Zoom, and the Ring doorbell years ago. But since then, the technology has gotten so much better that they developed their own next-generation platform. SignalWire's advanced communications platform allows product builders and developers to create more natural, real-time, interactive experiences. With SignalWire, everything from simple one-to-one video calls to interactive broadcasts with thousands of participants can be easily integrated into any app, product, or website. And the video and audio quality is far superior and uses less bandwidth, so users' computers don't freeze up. It's been the top choice of TV and film studios for remote looping and audio recording. Imagine turbocharging your company's website or app or other products by integrating SignalWire into the mix. Visit signalwire.com/video to sign up for a free account and mention Bill Maher or Club Random to receive an additional 5,000 video minutes for testing your app or integration. Go to signalwire.com/video. Integrate real-time video and audio into your app, product, or website and be light years ahead with SignalWire. Go to signalwire.com/video today. I wonder what would happen if you kids had to go through something really traumatic, like what they're going through in Ukraine now. Do you think it would change your whole mindset about this and you'd be like, oh my God, we're obsessing about this bullshit about breakups and this one and that one and what they're wearing and who looks cuter and who's 2 pounds too fat and all this bullshit. And it would help you in some way if there was actually something real to worry about? Because I think a lot of the people who are the most anxious have the most privileged lives. I mean, look at your life. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to be you.
I don't know. I think
Doesn't
that's
that,
a very narrow kind of mindset, in the way of trauma. Everyone really has, their trauma. What's happening in Ukraine is unspeakable. That is something else. But as far as trauma for every human being, I lost my dad when I was 8. I was molested growing up.
Molested?
Yeah, I went through shit. Everybody goes through shit. When you kind of look at a book and you judge it by its cover and you say,
I'm not judging at all.
You're like, well, everyone, even on any platform at any time in anyone's life, we do that as a society. We look at someone and say, they have it all. They must be so fucking happy. You've got nothing to complain about in your life. And you're like, yeah, well, they're still with their therapist every day, and they might have PTSD nightmares and traumas and other things that haunt their dreams.
Yes, molestation is a serious trauma.
And death. Death in the family is so hard to grow up without a father. Holy shit, I could not even tell you.
When a child is that young, that is, yeah.
So hard.
Okay, so those are legitimate, real traumas. On a par with the kind of things that people can go through in a war. Not quite as bad, but yes.
No, they're not even comparable. Again, that's unspeakable.
But they're more than just the regular bullshit. Yes, I'll give you that. But being with a therapist every day can also, I'll give you that. But can also be a indulgence. What about people who have trauma and can't afford a therapist? What do they do?
Oh, exactly. That is so many fucking people. And even people that can afford it, there's so much stigma around getting help and talking about things and being out. That's one of the best things right now about social media. That's one of the most healthy parts that really make me think there's good things in the world about social media is the openness that we have now about seeing a therapist, about even talking about it, suicide hotlines, things now where you're like, wow, we really are.
But don't you think some people overdo it with a therapist? It's an indulgence.
Indulgence?
Yes, it
to
can
talk about
be.
your feelings? And to talk about what makes you you? Wouldn't the smartest thing in life be knowing who you are?
Every day.
See a therapist every day?
Isn't that what you said? Some people see
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, okay.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, anyway, a therapist, yes, I think people who are in therapy for 30 years, we're trying to find the root of something or cure something.
And every day is also filled with trauma. You don't know what's going to happen. Your brother could die. This could happen to you. Your life could be flipped upside down.
At a certain point, shouldn't a therapist or seeing one train you to be able to do that for yourself without the therapist?
Great therapists, for instance, my therapist taught me this saying where when you go down the rabbit hole of a negative thought, right? And the negative thought could be anything. And then it's another one, and another one. And now when it comes to a place where these thoughts aren't helpful, you're not doing better, you can't learn from these thoughts, there's no good exchange for you there. It's just negative, another one, another one, another one. When you do that, she was saying, it very much helps to take a light colored object. I usually have a lot of neon lighters, but you take one and you pick it up and you put it down. And you pick it up, and you put it down, you pick it up. And you do that. And this motion, changing your body, helps the thought go away, helps kind of interrupt that cycle a little bit. And so then you're able to, okay, I can move on to a new thought. And that has helped me so many times. Small things like that as well that you use in your life. Like, you know, the more I go to therapy, I'm sure the more as well, there's so many things that I will learn if you have a good therapist, that not only am I just gonna talk about what happened, but I need tools to fix it. I don't wanna walk around like this every day, or the person I am, and I have these negative things that I wanna change. I don't wanna keep doing this. And it doesn't just help for me to just, you know, sometimes sit there and talk about it for an hour. No, I want something to help me get out of these habits.
Well, I'll just say two things. One, you know that among the crazy people in the world, like therapists, very high quotient of truly crazy people are therapists. The craziest.
Really?
Absolutely. The craziest people in the world are psychiatrists. They just are.
Well, it must be such an interesting thing to understand the human brain in such a way. Like you gotta be crazy smart.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying therapy can't do good and has done good, and we should have therapy. Yes, there is absolutely a place for that.
We should have therapy.
There absolutely should be a place for that. I should not, but some people should. I allow for that. But
you allow for that. You're allowing the world to have therapy.
But how long can this guy have with you before you go, oh wait, I've been seeing you for 7 years and I'm not really better. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're not a great shrink, because shouldn't I be at a more advanced place in this journey I'm trying to get to, where I'm not?
It depends. How advanced are you in your journey? Is it helping or is it not? Do you feel like some things are helped or some things aren't?
Well, how long do you give it? How long do you give the shrink?
That's a good question. I don't know.
If you had a broken leg and it wasn't healing in 7 years, I'm like, Doc, I've been on the bench since the '96 playoffs. Can I?
I myself haven't been in therapy very long, because also there was kind of, I was a part of the stigma around the word therapy. That kind of just sounded a little odd, and like, oh, I'm just gonna talk about my feelings and do this, and like, what, I'm just gonna cry for an hour? Like, that sounds fucking fun. Like, I wanna fucking do that with my day. And then, it took me a while of, bad habits and being unhappy, being uncontrollably unhappy, to sometimes that you're just like, I literally don't want, even just talking about the feeling is like getting me choked up. Like, just thinking about being in that spot again in my life, And then I finally was like, okay, I'm actually just gonna bite the bullet and like try a few therapists. And if it doesn't work and I don't like it, like whatever, okay. But like, I'm just gonna try, because what's the other option? Keep going down this road of negativity and self-doubt and insecurity and just, trauma. Like, fuck that.
I must say, just talking to you now for just this small amount of time, I really see why you are so big as you are, and why you have this giant fan base, and why there's a big thing around you. Because you're a hot chick who also is
hot chick.
Who's like completely
the hot chick.
open and vulnerable, about the fact that it hasn't made you that happy. And that's I could see how that's a very attractive thing to people, and how lots of people, especially your age, look at that and I
think if any age, when you see someone being honest, you're like, damn, that's hard.
Right.
It's hard to be honest in life. It's hard to be honest with yourself, and to be outspoken with your honesty in front of people is so hard. Times that by millions. It's like, you're like, we just know it's hard to be honest. I love honesty. I'd rather someone give it to me fucking straight all day long than
that's what you're here for at Club Random.
yeah,
Get it
definitely.
straight here. We no lube. We put it right in.
Yes, raw dogging. Let's go.
But look, I mean, as much as they're due when you are on the world stage, and you're right, everything is magnified by a zillion, it is harder. But you're not about to give it all up and open a yarn store in Vermont. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
Who said anything about giving it up?
I'm saying you're not. Like, as much as there are things that come with it that are not that attractive and magnify your anxiety, it's still,
that's why I don't sit there.
It's still better than being bored.
That's why I also don't sit there. Like, a lot of interviews and stuff really do, want to talk about the negative side. And, as I've gotten a little bit older in my life, I just don't want to see things in such a negative way. Like, social media, for instance, that's such an easy one. Like, man, a place where hateful things are said, And now, like, I'm always trying to find positives about social media, and I try and do that with things in any of the negative spectrum with things in my life. But I get asked, like, all the time, like, these kind of very negative questions, wanting to talk about the dark things about anything, and you're like,
I mean, social
let's
media
spin us around a little bit, guys.
Has been rocket fuel for your career.
Oh yeah, social media has been rocket fuel for everyone's career. Like, damn.
Well,
like,
not mine. But I did it the old-fashioned way.
Fuck yeah.
But
Fuck yeah.
that is quite a. Oh right, you're engaged now.
Oh yes.
Which one is the?
This one.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yes, I love.
It's almost like brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Jesus, Chris Rock better not piss you off.
These rings. Oh yeah.
Put a dent in somebody's head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an engagement ring?
Yeah.
That is the coolest thing.
Thank you.
This one.
Yeah, this one.
It's still,
yeah.
None of them are.
To help design
none of them are small.
I put the pearls. I love the vintage.
Did your boy do that so it would match the other ones, like in sort of size and stature? Because what is this? The Eiffel Tower?
What? I like to think it's an arena.
You could put drugs in there.
I know, it doesn't open up. It's fucked up.
Not that that's the first thing that ever crosses my mind about a ring. But you could really put drugs in there.
I'm making a jewelry line right now, and we're making a bunch of like grinder rings and stuff.
Really?
So you can like grind your little.
Listen, I have to go through the airport in Utah next week. Would you be a lamb and come with me?
I don't think it's a good place for me to be.
And wear the Frankenstein boots, because I got to tell you, I love these fucking boots.
Thank you.
Oh my
Thank you
God,
so much.
I love the. Oh look, and of course it's got the name right there. Boy, designers, what a fucking scam they have. Like the way they can like put their name right on the shit.
What's the scam about putting their name
Well,
on
I
their
mean,
shit?
like other products don't. This chair doesn't say, chair by Bob. It was. It's your very few
but
people
there's
get
a
to.
label. When you look at the label, it'll say.
But it's not like prominently displayed like that. I mean, they put it on clothes. I think Tommy Hilfiger was like the first one to do that.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong about that. I could be completely making that.
Just fucking bullshitting, just coming right out your mouth, like shit.
Sometimes a thought enters your head, and you're like, I will call myself on that and say, I think I'm just pulling this out of my ass.
Good for you. I'm glad you're not just speaking facts, but it's just
right. No.
shit.
It also could be true, but yes, I would not bet more than like $100 on that. In fact, I would bet no dollars.
Should we bet $100?
No.
Let's do it.
Not on Tommy Hilfiger. But I seem to remember. No, you know what? I'm wrong. Jordache. Do you remember what Jordache jeans were? No, you're too young. Like in 1980, like Brooke Shields, I think, did the ad. Yes, it was like they were the biggest jeans, Jordache. And Brooke Shields was like, nothing comes between me and my Jordache. I mean, it gave everybody a giant boner in America when Brooke Shields, who was this, basically, she was probably, she was a child star. So she could have been like...
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And then that sort of controversial
weird
looking...
As fuck.
Yes, controversial.
People super sexualized her as a child.
You know about
child. Oh, yeah. I've seen also
Right.
Blue Lagoon, and like I've seen a lot of her younger movies, as well as, some coverage behind it growing up. And, I can only imagine that, that there are some hard moments
Yes.
in her life. Also having to act so young.
Yes. Well, I
You know,
mean,
and become famous
don't
so
know. I
young
mean,
and
she
at
seems
interesting times.
she seems a pretty happy person, and you know,
I'm sure she is.
she went on to do a sitcom, and you know, anyone who can do a sitcom, you know, can't be too depressed.
Are you sure? I feel like there's
I'm
so many
kidding.
comedians on the darker side of things.
I know.
I usually
It's a
meet
joke,
a
baby.
lot of.
You are so, I'm
always
gonna
so-
lift you up. I know. Believe me, if anyone would know about comedians being
yeah.
on the dark side,
Right?
I've been working with them for 40
Yeah.
years. I spent my whole life with them.
Okay, so
And
you
then
were. It was
there
a
are all kinds of comedians, by the way. You should know this.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
They are as varied. Some of them are brilliant. Some of them are really not. But most of them are pretty smart. Some of them are scummy. A lot of them are great. They're just like a cross section of life. They're just funny. There's just a million different ways to be funny, you know. But yes, like I feel like this. I see this in you now. You do have like a tendency to like, you know, make it go toward the sad as opposed to the
That's
light.
what I mentioned earlier
Right.
about having
And,
you know, working on
right.
retraining the brain.
I
I've
know.
always been kind of
I
glass
think
half empty.
Club Random can do this better for you than that fucking drink you got.
I love my therapist. It's a
I
girl.
know you do. Well, that's part of the
awesome.
scam.
What?
No, I'm not.
What's the part of the scam?
No, I'm not. Oh, scam? Who said scam? I didn't say it was a scam. I'm just saying.
You like that word scam. I don't know about you. Maybe you're a scam.
I don't know why you haven't heard that. That must be you fucking high. You kids with your drugs.
Oh my
you don't know what you're
God,
talking about.
you
You're making
little
things
scammer.
up. Scam. No, psychiatry is a lovely profession. I'd love to do it myself. Actually, I would. You know, I always say when they ask me in interviews, like, what would you do if you weren't a comedian? The honest answer is, I'd love to be a psychiatrist, and I think I could be a better one than a lot of them. I mean, they go to school, I don't know what they fucking learn in psychiatry school. I'm sure there are things, but it's also theoretical. I mean, first of all, the profession's only 100 years old. I mean, is yours Freudian?
My girl, is she a Freudian? What does Freudian mean?
Well, Freud, you know, Sigmund Freud, the father of psychology. I mean, the guy who invented the whole business of it. I mean, he's the old school. He thinks most things are sexual. You know, he invented, there's a few fathers, Carl Jung, Erickson, and, you know, I think one of them, maybe Erickson, identified stages like the anal stage. From birth to age 2 is called the anal stage because you're anal, you're like shitting in your pants. And like how you are treated there, even though it's not in your conscious, as you age, whatever happened to you in your anal stage has defined your personality. That would be old school psychiatric thinking. So like if you were like, I guess, sitting in your own poop all the time or something, when people say now, even today, when they say I'm anal, meaning I'm very neat, why do you think they use that word anal?
Are you fucking with me right now?
I'm not fucking with you. I'm telling you, psychiatry 101.
This is crazy. I'm like, wow.
I'm telling you, this is what
I use the term anal all the time.
But that's where it comes from.
Oh, what the?
It comes from the anal stage, 0 to 2. Freud would say, even though it's not in your conscious what happened in those years, it's in your unconscious, and that has shaped your personality. I'm very anal. Everything is very neat.
And how do you feel about this idea?
I don't know. I mean, it's very theoretical, of course, but that is what the father of psychology put forward. And some shrinks today are still Freudians, others have diverged. It's all so pie in the sky. We just are guessing this is what's going on in the human mind. We don't know. I prefer to just my method of being happy is don't have bad things happen. Try to keep bad things as far away from me as possible, and then I will be happy, you know. But that's like a very practical approach. It's not a very modern approach. And yes, but Freud would say the anal stage. I mean, let's go to your anal stage. That came out wrong. I'm saying, what happened to you from the ages of 0 to 2? Do you think you were treated well?
I was modeling. I started modeling at 6 weeks old. Literally. You okay there. You also got some ash on your inner thigh.
That is not the answer I expected. What happened to you at 6 months, Bella? Well, I was modeling, and
I was.
wow, people say they were born in a trunk. You almost were. That was they say in vaudeville. I was born in a trunk, meaning I was born into show business.
Lights, and I think that's
So
hindered my eye capabilities. Okay,
so
don't got great
your
sight,
mother
but I
made
got
you a
great
model
hearing.
as a child.
Well, my other siblings were in modeling. My sister Danny and my brother. And
So you're
Danny was the first to start
just a
modeling.
good-looking family that they wanted in modeling.
I guess so. And Danny started modeling when she was younger, and then Remy, and then my mom loves to tell the story that she was at a photo shoot with my brother, and she was pregnant with me, and she was about to pop. And they were like, oh, when's the baby due? And she was like, oh, October. And they were like, oh, that's great. That's right around, when we're going to be shooting like our spring and summer shit. Like, we would love to book it. And she was like, you don't know if it's a boy or a girl yet. And they're like, it doesn't really matter, different color hat, blue, pink. It's like, you can't really tell at that age. And you're like, oh, wow. My mom's like, she had her first
Not
job
only can't you tell
before
anymore,
she was even born.
it doesn't even matter because everybody's switching their sexes constantly. No, I'm not kidding I am kidding about that, but people do switch sexes a lot more than they used to. There's a lot of trans, I always see that in the paper about somebody who has switched their sex, which if that's what makes you,
Yes.
is that what blows your dress
Bad
up?
bitches all the way.
Who?
Yes. Bad bitches.
Fat bitches. Why
Bad bitches.
Oh, bad bitches.
Bad bitches. Be who you are. Yes. Claps.
Right.
Claps. Makes me happy.
I think there's some money to be made in some sort of exchange with everyone switching where, if you need a penis, take a penis. If you have a penis, give a penis. If people are becoming like men to women, they're going to cut off their penis. And then there are women transitioning who are going to need a penis. I feel like if there was some exchange, maybe Bitcoin could be involved. And you could, no?
I just don't like joking about.
Oh, Bella.
I know that you
Bella.
like to, but I
This
don't
is where
think
the
it's
anxiety.
funny.
Oh, for
I
fuck's
don't think
sake!
it's funny.
What a shame. That is where
I'm
you're.
sorry.
That is. You don't have to be sorry, but I'm not
don't
sorry
think it's
either.
funny.
And that is where your anxiety comes from. There is nothing wrong with joking. Nothing wrong about that. It's not everybody is that sensitive. Not everybody needs to be that sensitive. Even the people who are doing that, I don't think would need to be offended by that. Everybody is so easily offended. You kids, you wake up offended. You should get off Twitter, get off social media, and maybe you wouldn't have this anxiety. Because I don't know if you're really offended or you're just worried that you're going to look offended.
No, I'm 100% offended. When I think about, someone's trauma and the videos that I have seen that are so fucking bad. And
But you can,
what people have to worry about walking on the street, just being themselves, that's fucking anxiety. That's why I don't like to joke about it because, someone hears it and on a public platform is so bad because you're kind of low-key spreading this oh, ha, 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 ha. And it's it's not funny when your face is being beaten in the floor and
you know what? You can connect.
You
can connect any bad thing with any other bad thing.
Of course, there are a lot of bad things.
You know what?
This is one
Mel
that
Brooks did a movie called
really
The Producers, and he had a song in it called Springtime for Hitler. If I really tried, I could probably connect Hitler with something sad. But we don't, because that's not how we live. That's not how we can live, because everything can be connected. Everything can be connected to something sad, and then you'll be sad all your life, and that's why you are sad, and you don't have to be sad. Not everything has to be said. Not everything is sad. Everything could be said. We choose whether to make it sad or not.
You
don't think there's something to that theory?
I think when it comes to your own trauma, I make dead dad jokes. makes some people who know me very well super uncomfortable sometimes.
Well,
They're
what
like,
could be more sensitive than that?
But like for your own trauma, like you know, it's I don't know. I just.
But that's your own trauma, and you're okay with joking. You just said.
Do I think it's really funny if someone's joking about raping
Give me a
girl?
dead dad joke. Though.
I don't think that one's really funny. That one's not so funny, and that's another trauma of mine. You know, it's like it depends on.
Only one of us is a
how you
comedian,
feel,
so
like,
I'm going to have to pull rank on that. But give me a dead dad joke.
Oh no.
Come on.
No.
You said you have dead dad jokes.
No, I just like, you know, it's not like I have a literal dead dad joke. It's more like, you know, conversations are being had and, you know, there's an opportunity to, you know, make a dead dad joke, like, you know, and then, you know, you're like,
I mean,
you know,
it's
not mine.
It's the way to own it. It's the way to own it.
Yeah, when you decide to own your, you know, pain is however you decide to own your pain.
But it's like, you're not going to control me with this pain. I'm going to own it. It's like the way African Americans took back the N-word. It was a horrible slur, and then they said, but we're going to own it. You know? And anyway, look, it's good that we can agree to disagree. We don't have to agree on everything. That's what an honest conversation is, you know? Uh-huh. But I bet you, like, in 10 years, when I'm dead, and you're here hosting the show, and you're talking to somebody, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying, we're all in the process of evolution. Me too. Welcome back to Bon Temps. Join hosts Kristen Bauer and Deborah Ann Wall for Truest Blood, the official True Blood Look Back podcast. You'll hear interviews with actors like Sam Trammell, Adina Porter, and Carrie Preston, and writers like Charlaine Harris and Alex Wu. Plus the vamp champ himself, Alan Ball. You can rewatch the HBO original True Blood on HBO Max. Then join Kristen and Deborah each week as they sink their fangs into the series episode by episode. So subscribe, share with your fellow Troupies, and be sure to listen on HBO Max and wherever you get your podcasts. You were talking about the drug portal on your ring. That's the engagement ring. You're getting married. That's going to change you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that very soon, the upcoming nuptials?
You know, things with COVID are just...
COVID. Oh, stop it.
You know,
you're anxious. Of course you're anxious about COVID.
No,
That's even
besides
dumber.
being anxious about COVID, it's more just like, you know, friends and family flying somewhere, this and that, like
COVID
things,
is not
a wedding in
bad.
COVID. I'm like,
it's not going to kill you.
You know,
COVID,
no, but I just, you know, it makes things more difficult when you're planning a wedding. It's already hard enough to plan a wedding, and planning a wedding in COVID is also very difficult. So we're just chilling. And,
it was fun for 2 years to be paranoid, but it's over. I mean, it will always be here. Like 1 million bad things are here. And lots of health threats are here. Mm-hmm. I am much more worried about cancer than I am about COVID. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we can't get to zero worries or zero deaths or zero anything with COVID or anything bad. So we just have to say, you know,
my point more so was that it's hard to plan a wedding. Very hard to plan a wedding in COVID. And anybody that's planning weddings in COVID, my mom just got married, and you know,
why is it hard to plan? Because everything's open again.
You know, more difficult. Like it's just you know, it's a
Who's
long
giving you
list.
shit about it at this point?
Let's not talk about the difficulties. Let's talk about the happier things.
Okay, great.
Happy side.
So where are you going to have this
side?
wedding? You're the one who mentioned COVID. I said you're getting married. You're like, oh my God, COVID's fucking it all up. Of course, you go right to the sad part.
Okay, right.
I'm telling you.
Because you asked me when, and I'm like, well, you know, that's the kind of why we haven't decided when yet. Mm-hmm. That's why.
Now, how did you know he was the one?
I think our communication skills are just like off the charts. You know, I've never had a partner where when you speak to each other, you both really listen and marinate, and you don't just all the time and talk and also kind of pick on each other about stupid things like I don't even know, like dumb shit that you get into fights in a relationship, and you're like, why are we even talking about this? This is literally stupid.
Sounds like he's secure.
We don't do,
Right.
and
that's important in a guy.
Yeah, we just have a really beautiful way of seeing each other in the way that he sees me, and us always wanting to make each other better in the best way. Like, I love that. And he brings out like also like the more healthy sides of me and that kind of stuff that I would always want it more in a partner. Like if I have my choice, I'll be chilling all day, binge watching shows, fucking never moving, ordering multiple foods. My bed's just filled with food. I'm just chilling and I'm binging. Okay, I'm binging hardcore. And I've got a whole watch list on my phone and everything.
He stops this?
And not that he stops this, but, you know, he's also much more like, baby, we should go outside. I'm like, I know we should go outside. He's like, let's go on a walk. I'm like, I know, okay, let's go on a walk. But, you know, if I get into a show, I'm like, we have to watch the next episode. I need to know the next episode. Sometimes when shows come out and I know they're going to be so good, I'll just wait. I'm like, no, it's better to wait. I'm going to wait like 3-4 weeks. I'm not going to look at socials. I'm not gonna hear nobody tell me because I need to watch this shit back to back to back.
I'm very curious. What are some of the shows that like captivated you like this that you had to watch? Because I have shows like that too.
Oh my God, there's been so many great shows. God, Californication, The Sopranos.
Californication, boy, going back, I watched every episode of that.
Such a great fucking
David
show.
Duchovny.
Yeah.
You know who had her first acting job on that? Zoe Kravitz.
Really?
Yes,
God,
I
she's
remember
amazing.
that. I think it was her first. The first time I ever saw her, a little part in Californication, a Showtime sitcom. Oh, wow. I would never have guessed.
Smart and talented and beautiful.
Interesting that you said that show. I hadn't thought about that show, but
God,
David Duchovny was terrific, right?
Yeah,
It was a great character. Hank
the
Moody,
writing,
you know.
everything, you're just like, they really, they nailed it with that one.
Yeah, I mean, he got away with being a rake. You know, he got away with being this fucking guy who, you know, always have to have the plot line of, I really love my wife. Of course, I'm fucking a million other broads, but I really love her, so that makes me very vulnerable. But really, remember, because he loved her, but he was always getting a lot of tail. And, you know, it's like...
He's a sex addict.
It's kind of like, you know, musicians get away with singing those songs like Willie Nelson and Julio Iglesias. Do you remember this song? You're probably too young, but... To all the girls I've loved before.
Yes.
You do know that song?
Yes, I do.
Who came in and out my door. And it's like they're getting away with something only musicians could get away with. You know, which is basically saying, you know, look, you came in and out my door. But,
the player culture is very interesting. It's definitely for men is like so celebrated. Like
the player culture.
The player culture, like is very and in movies and TV. The difference with movies where you don't get that side with music unless you really get to know the artist is that when you have the player culture in movies, it's like, oh, the bad boy, the jock, oh, he's bad, he's sleeping with girls. Oh, but we still like him and we want him to win and maybe he'll change. He might change, girls. Hold on. So and every girl is like, okay,
right. So isn't this partly the fault of women?
Really, you know, what?
Isn't this partly the fault of women who like the bad boy and enable him, and you just were imitating a woman?
I don't know how the culture of like the idea of this is we like love a bad boy. Like, I don't know if it happened in society, in movies, if it just happened everywhere and then that just became a thing.
Well, it happened with women.
I don't know, but I feel like every girl that dates a bad boy is like, why am I dating this bad boy?
But they do
I knew he was a bad boy, and now it's just like, oh, but maybe he's just bad boy on the exterior and he might be a cushy little teddy bear.
Right.
And then you're like, no, okay.
Right.
He's just a bad boy. But when I met Ben, my fiance, he definitely had bad boy exterior written all over him. And, you know, he's not a bad boy. He's actually a really great boy. I was like, oh, this is kind of, I guess this are the times that girls are like, oh, maybe he will actually be better than what, you know, he's kind of just showing me right now or what I can get from this. And yeah, with Ben, it actually kind of
But isn't it kind of like they just want this guy because they think he's hot, and then
No.
so they're.
I think with most women, it's so mental. Like, oh, that's
Well,
why it's so hard for girls to
kinda,
come because it's like so mental.
But
when
you're kind of saying
in that
they
stage
want
of,
this guy they think is hot, and then they're going to hope that the mental part comes along.
I
It's
just
kind of
don't
like
know. I've never like it's been. I can't like you can see an attractive man. Then this is me speaking for me, not all women. And I know a lot of girls who are just like, oh my god, he's so hot. Like I want to get his number. I would totally fuck him. Okay, but for me, like like it just really. I'm like, that's a very attractive person. Good for you. But
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I don't know. I don't usually even steer towards those people as far as like
I think
my
you
type.
are
I'm
more
kinda like,
typical of all women. I do.
don't
I think
know.
women are deeper than men, especially with that kind of thing. Men are
Yes,
superficial.
and-
They always say men fall in love through their eyes, women through their ears. Meaning
is that what they say?
that's it. They.
like
I haven't
this.
seen they. They used to come by the club, but I guess they're doing other things now. But yeah, that's like a saying, and or maybe it's a proverb, or maybe I don't know, whatever it is. It could be written on a Mayan temple. I have no idea, but it's something that's been around for a long time, and it's kind of true. I mean, it survives because it's kind of true. Men do fall in love through their eyes and women through their ears, which means they are deeper because it has to go into their brain. Where we just go right to our balls and
Yeah, the best way again I can describe that is back to the coming analogy. It's like
The what?
the coming analogy for women, like
Coming.
to come for
Right.
a woman, like
Come,
to
yes.
get into that
Right, sure.
headspace and the comfortability and relax. There's
Right.
so much shit that
Right.
sometimes you'll be like, even if there's like something back there and it keeps ticking back and forth, like you're
Right.
like, oh, I can't come because there's fucking what's
Right.
happening over there? Is that a Roomba? Is the
Right.
Roomba going off?
Or
Someone
what
shut
if-
off the
what if-
fucking Roomba. We gotta get the
Right.
Roomba out of here. You're
what if the
like,
wrong
it's like-
song comes on?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, hold on. I do not want to fuck to this song. I do not want to come to this song.
When you
Change this
have
shit.
when you make whoopee, as they used to say on the Newlywed Game, when you're making whoopee with your fiance, like, do you have music on? No music. No music.
No, we don't. No.
Not even Crimson and
unless
Clover?
we're gonna like fuck at a party and there's like music or something, like okay, like go into the bathroom,
at a
like get a
party?
quickie in or something. Like you're like
What if
okay.
you're just at home?
But I think no. At home it's like
No,
no, we do
'Cause
a
that would be
lot
corny?
of talking and like
but no music. Just
no, we're
dry.
It's not dry though
No, I'm
because
kidding.
you're
I know.
like yeah. Technically, it's dry in that way. Yeah. It's dry.
You're raw
It's funny.
dogging it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I'm also for me like I'm much more into talking and really being in that moment with each other, not just
Right,
like
but sometimes
oh
people
let's
have
fuck to
music in
this
the
beat
background.
kind of. I don't know that I just don't need that filler.
What
It's
about-
kind of just like
What about
filler.
just spa
I don't
music?
need, no, definitely not spa music.
No lyrics. It's just the sound of a lake. Come on, something to give a soundtrack. No, I know what you're saying.
Turn on the rain machine.
I mean, listen to this. When I was in college, I had one tape. I was so poor. I had a boombox. That was my music system. And I had old tapes, not even discs, just tapes, like a cassette tape. And it's like, so when like the rare times I had sex with someone, I would put in the cassette. That was like my, we didn't even consider you couldn't have sex without music. That was a big part of it. But it was like the same songs. So it'd be like, I like knew, like when I heard a certain song come on, I'm like, oh my God, Purple Rain. I should have my finger in your ass by now. Not that I ever did that, but I mean.
That would distract me so much. I
Yeah.
could not, because you just know certain things are coming up. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Totally taking you out of the moment. That's why I don't fuck with music on.
And I feel you on that one, girlie. Taking you out of the moment.
Yeah,
Right.
taking you out of the moment.
And
100%.
your thing about the female orgasm, I'll tell you, as someone looking back from the 60s, that is the number one thing men have trouble learning and then hopefully someday learn. But I would say it's that it's such a mental thing for a woman to have an orgasm.
Yeah.
You cannot just fuck it out of them. as some men think
No,
they can.
100%.
Yeah.
And, I think as a woman too, like it takes a long time to understand your own body. And that's why, I'm always talking about sex, bringing, just really trying to end stigma around the word sex in general, because we all do this. Why are we so uncomfortable with it? And it's just like, falling down the rabbit hole over there. So I just think that learning about your body as a woman is so important. And to each their own on time, how quickly you get there, how quickly you start understanding, like it takes a long time. And some girls go years, like half their lives without knowing how to come. Like it's totally.
So you see this as kind of like a mission of yours to get these women to understand this.
Yes.
Something you can do for women.
And in general, the word sex, the idea behind sex, everything that falls under sex, and then boom, 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 boom. There's a whole list of things that, people need to, kind of wrap their minds around it. And people are, finally things are happening and it's moving forward in a great direction. You have, so many females now opening up vibrator brands and, sex toys and different things. And it's so great. It's so great to see, literally it's.
Oh, you mean like Gwyneth Paltrow and that kind of stuff?
Demi Lovato has one too.
Vagina candles.
Cara Delevingne.
Right.
There's so many, also more home businesses coming into play now. In general, the market's opening up in a way where people can understand this now and not be so oh my God, I can't even believe they're talking about sex right now. And you're just like, what is happening? Or, oh my God, I can't even believe they're talking about sex right now. It's so bad, so inappropriate, that kind of idea.
I think we've been talking about sex for a while in America, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a time when they weren't, but I think we have broken that barrier a while ago. I mean, I certainly never really held back, but of course there were restrictions on commercial TV. I was on there for a while. I remember a time when in TV you couldn't say the word ass or fart.
A fart?
You couldn't say fart.
They
You couldn't
took
say
fart
ass.
from us?
You couldn't say sucks.
They took fart.
You would not believe
seriously
how
upset right now. I'm my mind is I'm not happy.
Now you can.
Coming out of this,
Comedy Central, which
they went
is
that
not
far.
Comedy Central is not a pay cable station. Comedy Central, anybody can get it. I think with an antenna. They have those roasts now. They say everything but. Maybe I don't think cunt is allowed, but I think everything shit.
Love cunt. I love cunt.
You love cunt.
God. Such a good one.
It's such a great topic. Tell me
so
why
good.
you love cunt.
I love
Came
the
out
word.
wrong again.
I love the word. I love the vagina.
In England,
I love the vagina.
Oh, you love
lot
the
of
vagina.
ways.
Yeah.
But at one point I did a Twitter poll and I was like, should I name my dog Cunty? Because cunt, you can't literally yell across the Wanna-Really lot, cunt, get over here.
No, don't do that.
Not gonna happen.
Even cunty is not really
and then the other one was tampon. And yeah, and because I really wanted to take a word that people felt was I'm so offended by it, and call something that's so cute like a little dog. And I just thought that was great. Now when you think of this word after you've met tampon, you're like, oh, tampon's actually
tampon
cute.
is kind of cute. I'm glad you didn't go with cunty. I gotta say.
But tampon didn't like her own name. It ended up literally me calling her all the time, tampon, tampy, tampy, tampon, and she just never. So then. All of a sudden, we came to mommy, and her name is mommy now.
Is this the kind of thing that you would discuss in therapy? Like you would run this by the shrink? Like, should I call my dog Cunty?
No.
Too specific?
That would be so funny if I was spending my therapy time debating Cunty or tampon.
So that's too trivial.
No, yeah. I feel like I'm a waterfall every time I start therapy. Like every time I begin the session, I'm like, oh, I know
Wow.
it's going down, bitch. You in for a ride
No.
today. For this 1 hour, you in it.
So,
Get ready, buckle up.
and you think this is because the guy draws this out of you?
The
Is it
girl,
the girl?
yes,
I'm so
the
sorry.
woman.
See that was wrong
Yes,
of me
she's
to assume it
amazing.
was a man.
She's great, and do I think she draws it out of me? No, no. I feel like I'm on a mission. I'm just on a mission in life, and even in therapy, I'm on a mission. I'm trying to fix this shit. I'm like, yo, I'm paying you this hour, this money count right now. Like, I need to get this shit out, and you need to help me. Like, let's team up on me right now. Like, how do we get this shit under control? So I'm like literally I'm gearing up. Like every time I know I have to schedule a therapy session, which also makes it more difficult when you're like going through
Oh, so it's
your
not a
daily
regular
life.
weekly thing?
No, because with my schedule, like you have to when you're doing therapy, sometimes like with how I feel, it's like the hour before I need to kind of gear up for it. Like I can do something, but I don't really want it to be work related and a lot of the hours of my day is work. So I'm like, and then the hour after, I could be in a bad place for like an hour after I do a therapy session. Let's say we go like real in the mud, fingers in the mud on it. Then yeah, for like the next hour, I could be like, wow, and I'm not gonna just like be like, oh, let me just smoke and get, or have a drink. Like, let me just get out of this. And like, I don't like to make those habits. So I'm just like sitting in that hour, just trying to like, decompress and find my center again.
So it's like acupuncture. You don't want to schedule what?
I've never done acupuncture, but I
Well,
really want to
it's
try. I want to
you
know
might
those
be
traumas.
a little
Like, get them out of there,
you
stick them.
You maybe not want to schedule a pickup game right after your acupuncture, because your fucking body's full of holes or whatever it is. I'm not saying I'm not saying any of these things are wrong. Acupuncture, I think, has merit. I don't know. I mean, I think the jury's out, but some people believe it. Now, it could just be the placebo effect. The placebo effect is amazingly powerful. Whenever they test a drug, they test it with a placebo. And very often the placebo does just as well. Sometimes it does better. And, before modern medicine, all they had was the placebo effect because doctors, these fucking quacks who did things like put dirt in a wound, they would, do some crazy shit to you, leeches, or actually they still use leeches, bad example, okay. But some crazy shit, and then the patient would get better. And the reason I think that happened is because
Yeah, I believe in the placebo effect strong.
the mind-body connection is so much stronger than modern medicine will give it credit for. Modern medicine only matters if we can quantify it on a stat sheet, we can put numbers and decimal points, and that's just not exactly the story. And I think the mind does play an amazingly important role in health.
Yeah, in health.
Gotta
and
get your
pain,
mind
and
right.
tolerance. Yeah, intolerance. It's like, the simplest form is like, running on a treadmill, pushing yourself past the point that usually breaks you, and you're like, I'm gonna stop. I have to stop. Like, I have to. And, that point that your brain overrides that everything in your body is telling you to stop. But you override that side. That's, the power of the mind. And that is like the lightest, spectrum of pushing yourself and then, and believing in something and then it happening, and with placebo effect, you're like, that's a whole nother thing. That shit is crazy. Like I do. I like.
Well, let me go one further and
100%.
ask you about this. Holistic medicine, classic holistic medicine, and I certainly have steeped myself in it, but I was always honest with the people I talked to who were practicing it, my main doctor mostly, that
That's awesome.
I don't buy into all of it. I'm sorry. Some things jury is out, and some things I'm like, that may just be a little too close to religion. But one thing which I think jury out, but I'm willing to entertain it. They would say that all the emotions are posited in different parts of our body, like sorrow in our lungs, anger in our liver or bile. I think some of the organs of the body are named for, yes, they are bile. I mean, we talk about that, and that's also an emotion. Phlegm is a word. Phlegmatic means to be the emotion that is, I don't know, I guess, encased in phlegm. So this idea has been around for a long time, that emotions are encased in different parts of our body, which means if you have a lot of sorrow, that's what makes your lungs vulnerable. And I can see people going, oh, that's quackery and crazy. You know what?
No,
My theory always on medicine, they just don't know very much. So don't fucking have that attitude of just, like, oh, you're such a quack. We know, you don't know shit. So everything is on the table. So I don't know.
Yeah, everything is on the table.
Right. And just the fact that those people don't give any countenance to the mind-body connection, it's like, well, already, you're not being bright on this issue to begin with.
Yeah, and even when you have something that you're like, no, this is a fact, you're like, okay, but things every day, we have so much more knowledge every fucking day, and facts are changing.
Yes.
Things change the more we know about them.
Oh, absolutely. I totally believe in Dr. Google. They love to...
Oh, no. Well, Dr. Google is scary, though. You're like, I have
well,
what?
It depends on who's...
It depends on who... to me. Are you sure?
It depends on who's looking up Dr. Google, because here's the thing. If you graduated medical school in 1980, you could still be practicing, and there's really no law that says you have to keep up on the latest. And medicine is always changing, and again, they're only at the infancy of understanding anything. So you could be just way behind, and of course, I personally have caught doctors not knowing something they should have known. Because there's lots of information out there. It's not like the old days where they are this secret priesthood who only they knew the answers. I mean, lawyers love to do the same thing. We'll call something a Latin phrase, and then, the plebes won't know what we're talking about. Same thing with medicine, except now we have Dr. Google. If you have a good researcher, I would trust Dr. Google more than some idiot who hasn't kept up with what's going on in the world. Dr. Google has the answers. You just have to be clever enough to find it.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, in my case, hire a researcher. But most people can't do that. But I feel like that is a great use of my money at my age. Hire someone who just researches health.
Fuck yeah, I want to do that
Pennies on the
shit.
dollar for keeping my ass alive.
What? 100%, I'm into that. Fuck yeah,
You
that's
don't
a
need
great
it. You're
idea.
young.
I didn't even think of that.
You're fine. You should.
Oh my God.
You have got
start
to
young.
Stop.
Do it.
Stop
Get it in
worrying
your
about
bones now.
everything. You have a wonderful, charmed life. Your career is on the uphill. You're getting married. These are the good old days, darling.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you're not mad at me that we had a tiff, but that's what makes it honest, right?
Honest.
Is that okay?
Evolution, growth.
Yeah.
We're always learning every day.
I feel like I know you a little bit, and I'm glad I got to.
Are you shaking? Are you
Can
shaking
I?
your hands? Yeah.
Do you feel the same way? You're glad you got to know me a little bit?
Yes. Yes. I
Really?
definitely feel the same way.
Okay. You only fight with your friends.
This was very fun.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
And I want to come back to the club.
When
here
we're going to
for it.
come. When we're going to have a
where's the
party here with all
party?
the other guests we've had, it's going to be off the hook.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.